Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the new Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Ooze Turtles, which consists of Ooze launching Leonardo, Ooze tossing Raphael, Ooze scooping Donatello, and Ooze chucking Michelangelo. That's right, what Ninja Turtles toy line would be complete without some crazy variants of the Fab Four? It looks like Series 2 is starting to hit stores right now, and this series contains the first of what's probably going to be many variations of the Ninja Turtles themselves. Now, since we recently got the Mutagen Ooze released in stores, the cool thing about these particular variants is that they all will use that ooze in their included action features. So all four turtles come on the same style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles blister card packaging that's got those bright greens and purple seen in the background. Of course, the little nameplate on the bottom tells you which each figure is. And then on the back of that packaging, they all have the same shot of Michelangelo, which shows you how to use their really cool ooze launching action feature. Underneath that, you get a look at all four of those turtle variants, as well as some of the brand new vehicles that are also starting to hit stores. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at all four of these turtles outside of the packaging. Now, all four of them are dressed similarly to one another. You can see that they're all wearing these jumpsuit type outfits, and each of them have these large backpacks stuck to their shells, which is for that ooze launching action feature, which we're going to take a look at in just a little bit. First of all, let's focus on the sculpts and designs of each of the four figures. Now, even though they are all wearing similar outfits, one of the things I will point out that I think is really great is the fact that all four turtles are 100% different sculpts from one another. So even though they're wearing similar jumpsuits, if you take a look at the sculpt and design of all those jumpsuits, you'll see that they are all sculpted differently from one another. Even the size and shape of the boots that they're wearing and the knee pads that are on their knees are all different on every individual turtle. I think that's really great because this could have been one of those spots where Playmates could have taken the easy way out and used the same sculpt for each of them and just repaint them, but they went the extra mile and gave us 100% new sculpts for every turtle. Of course, the paint jobs are different on all of them. You can see they're all very bright, very vibrant colors, and they do use their signature colors in their outfits. So all of them are wearing knee pads and the belts that match their bandanas. So of course, Donatello has purple, Raphael's got red, Mikey with orange, and Leonardo with blue. You'll also notice that they're all holding onto this little trigger thing in their right hand, which is also colored to match their bandana. Now, that is just made of a nice rubbery material, but it is permanently attached to the figure. It can be held in their right hand, but you can pull it out if you want to. However, it will just kind of hang there if they're not holding onto it. Now, of course, strapped to each of their backs is this cool little ooze launching backpack. Now, the little trigger thing in their hand, of course, is supposed to be what signifies how they actually launch the ooze from the backpack, but it is just attached to their little belts there. The backpacks themselves do come separately, not attached to the figures. You do have to plug those in yourself, and you can see just looking at the back, there is a large hole in the back of the shell. You just take this little backpack there and you plug it in. Once it's attached, it snaps on pretty tight, and it locks on very firmly. So it is removable, but it is really hard to remove once you click it in place. So it's definitely meant to be attached and then probably stay attached. Now, the paint jobs on the figures are pretty basic. I mean, there's really no variation as far as coloring or shading or any extra details like that. You've mostly just got the solid colors, but like I said, there's a good mixture of colors and they're very bright and vibrant on each figure. One of the other things that's really neat is the head sculpts on all of these guys. They are different sculpts from what we saw on the original releases of the Turtles. In fact, the sculpts here have a much more rounded head shape, and the bandanas are a little wider and come to a point at the nose. This is a little more cartoon accurate than the first release of the Turtles were. One of the other things I think is really great is that all of their sizes are still different from one another. I talked about how the Turtles were 100% different sculpts. This includes their heights. So just like with the original releases, Michelangelo is still the shortest of the Turtles, Donatello still remains to be the tallest. So I really love that we have that variation between each of the four Turtles. Alright, so before we get into how the cool little backpack action feature works, let's take a look at the articulation on these guys. This right here is going to be one of the downfalls as far as the collectors go. Here's why. All the articulation included on these guys are in their heads, which can turn left and right, and as you can see, the heads are very stiff, so they don't turn left and right very well. The arms are able to move up and down only at the shoulders. There's no elbow, no wrist turns. And then the waists are able to swivel, and below that, there isn't any articulation in the legs whatsoever. They are static and stuck in that one pose. So these guys have very, very limited articulation. I assume maybe that they're that static because it will help with the balance for the action feature, but yeah, you're not going to get a lot of posing out of these guys. And unfortunately, I do have to point out that I have a bit of a quality control issue with my Donatello. It looks like he's not quite put together well at his waist. You can see there's a big gap there, and as a result, he's really hard to balance. He doesn't stand well on his own, and he kind of leans backwards when you do have him standing. So hopefully this is not an issue we see with every Donatello among this line. The other three turtles seem to be fine as far as how they're assembled, and they do stand pretty well on their own. Alright, so let's get to the fun part here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at their little backpacks. Now, on these backpacks, you'll see that there's a little lever on the right-hand side that's attached to this little claw scoop thing. It's a very simple feature where all you have to do is flick that lever, and it makes the scoop fly forward. This, of course, is how you're going to throw your slime. Now, if you don't have any of the Mutagen Ooze, or if you don't want to use the ooze because it's messy, each of the turtles all include these very small slime-shaped plastic pieces that are colored to match their bandanas. They each come with 3 of these little things, so if you want to, you can just lay these little pieces of plastic in the scoops, and then you can flick the lever, and that way it's just throwing the little plastic pieces of slime. But we don't want to do that, right? We actually want to get messy and play with the ooze. So if you've got the ooze, which is sold separately, but if you've got the ooze, this is how we can use it. The top of the backpack is removable. It's got just this little plunger piece in there, so you can pull the little cap off the top, and you can see how the plunger works there. It just moves up and down. So you will then just take your Mutagen Ooze. You can fill up the backpack with the ooze as full as it can get. And once that's full, just pop the lid back on there with the plunger pulled all the way out. So all you have to do now is use that plunger piece. You just press it down, and then if you look at the little spout on the bottom, you can see how it squeezes the ooze out, kind of like a toothpaste tube. So the ooze kind of spills out and lands right into that little claw underneath. Now you may have times where the slime kind of spills off of the claw, so you're going to have to use your best judgment to figure out how much slime you want to actually put in that claw where it will stay in place. But it works really well as far as squeezing out of that little funnel works. It's really neat. So you just fill the slime into that little funnel, and it comes out into the little claw there, and then you're ready to fling the slime. Now this gets really fun, but I'm going to tell you this right now. It's really hard to aim the slime. So we can set up a bad guy here, we can try to fling some ooze at it, and it works really well. You just flip the little lever there, and you can see that sometimes the ooze flies really far. Sometimes it just kind of flops down right in front of the figure, but if you get some good flicks on there, you can actually launch this stuff all the way across the room. But as you can see, like I said, it's really hard to aim. I'm having a heck of a time trying to nail Shredder with some of this ooze right here, but it's still a lot of fun, and it works really well. Now, all of the figures also include this little pick weapon. Now, what's really neat about this weapon is it's actually meant as a cleaning tool. So once you're done playing with it and you've got all the ooze out of there, you're definitely going to want to make sure you rinse it out. That way none of the ooze dries on the inside. So use some warm water, rinse out the backpack, and then use this little pick piece here to unclog the little funnel on the bottom. That way, none of the ooze clogs up in the funnel if it hardens. So I think that's very cool that it came with this little piece here. Then, of course, when the turtles are not using this, or if you don't want them to hold it in their hands, there's a little peg on the back of the backpack there. That way you can store the pick right on their backpack. And speaking of storage, here's another fun thing. While these turtles don't come with their signature weapons, if you've got the basic turtles, you can use their signature weapons with these figures. And all of their backpacks have a storage spot that is specifically designed for their signature weapon. So you can store their weapons on the side of their backpacks. That is another really cool touch, I feel. So there you go, guys. There's a look at the brand new Mutagen Ooze variations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, I will say this. With the lack of articulation and the fact that they're just goofy variants, a lot of the collectors out there could probably pass on these and not really have any worries. unless you're a big Ninja Turtles fan, you might be okay with not picking these up. However, I will say that being a big fan of Ooze and Slime toys, I do find the action features really fun on these guys. And I really think kids are going to have an absolute blast throwing slime around at the different figures, or getting into slime fights with each other, or maybe you guys can convince your wife to have a slime fight with you like I did. Just kids, don't blame me if your parents get mad at you for throwing slime around the house. But these things are... But these things are seriously a lot of fun, and I love the Ooze features. I think that works really well on these guys, and, you know, 4 guys wearing jumpsuits with large backpacks, that definitely has a little bit of a familiar feel to it, wouldn't you say? So the Mutagen Ooze versions of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are already starting to hit store shelves, so happy hunting, and until next time!